here. All right, guys. Wabash Valley County line here.
Falling apart.
County line bow hunting here. Yeah.
That was a pretty good intro.
Yeah. County line bow hunting here. We got Aaron in the hot seat. We got Boone over there. We didn't get any footage of Aaron's buck this year, so we're going to have Aaron paint us a picture and a little podcast setup. Comment below if we should start a podcast. We're probably going to start one anyway. So Aaron's going to paint us a good picture of his deer, his kill, his harvest, and let us relive the moment and bring you guys along with us. After we talk about it a little bit, we're going to get some footage of the recovery and a little bit of footage of the moment. Like I said, let you guys kind of feel the moment with us. So we're going to start this off with a little Rage Broadhead plug. If you ain't shooting Rage, then what you shooting? I don't know how many times we've tried this intro, but that one was good. They leave a nasty blood trail. Aaron harvested his buck with a Rage hypodermic. I harvested mine with a Rage hypodermic. Insane entry, insane exit, insane blood trail. So,
well, what do you do if you don't shoot him with a Rage?
If you don't shoot him with a Rage, you probably ain't going to find him. So call Wabash Valley Drone Service. We'll get that drone up in the air, find your deer.
Or if you misplace your Rage shot.
If you misplace your Rage shot, Wabash Valley Drone Service. Now, when you shoot it with a Rage and you find it, or you don't shoot it with a Rage and we find it, take it to Julie Beaver at Bever Taxidermy up in North Manchester, Indiana. Her number will be in the bio. Wabash Valley Drone Service will be in the bio. Julie does awesome work. She's done all my deer. She's done all of Aaron's deer.
She has mine.
And she's got Boone's deer and with her right now. So check her work out. Take your animals to her. She's awesome. And we'll kick this off.
Ready, set, go.
We're ready, set, go. First question for Aaron. Just give me a little breakdown on your whole reasoning and your whole thought process behind wanting to start a deer camp and bring that community back together.
I've got a place in the UP, and those guys up there, they pretty much, that's just what they live for, is deer camp. I had the privilege of going north to Canada last year with a couple of those guys that do have camp up there, and kind of took me back to when I was a kid. We had mostly back then we had to take our deer someplace to get it checked in. There was a little bait shop called the Peace Pipe over in Wabash area, Mount Etna, I guess, and we would go there. And
Lincolnville.
I was just a kid.
It's in Lincolnville.
Lincolnville, yes. And I was just a kid then, so I was like 13, and my dad would drive me there with the buck or the deer or whatever it was in the back of the truck, and it was like a bunch of 60-year-old men just standing in a line, like looking at each other's deer. And so I would go annoy the bejesus out of them, ask them just like the most questions. And I always enjoyed that. That was always kind of a thing that was like a staple of deer season to me.
It was people would just hang out at the bait shop and see what truck would come. Then you'd see what deer was in the back of it, and it was a cool thing. That was back when you had hard tags too. You'd got a paper tag to hang on the deer's antler.
Yeah, this dude that was like 70 years old would walk out there and look at your deer and verify that it wasn't hit by a car or whatever they were looking for back then. Honestly, I don't know, and then he would send the information in, and then they would send you a metal tag in the mail that you could hang on your antlers or whatever. But I always liked that. We'd spend a lot of time there. And when we went to this online system in Indiana, that all went away, and people just like, they shoot their deer now, they post it on social media. Of course, we're all guilty of it. And then they just go to their houses and hang it up and then take it to the processor. Like, there isn't that atmosphere of camaraderie or of just a bunch of buddies that get together and talk about it. So, having said that, when I go up there to the UP, like, I was talking to my buddy Andrew Pesca last weekend, and he was telling me that like schools give the day off to the kids on opening weekend, the day before opening day, whatever it may be. And like that's just part of their culture. And so I'd like to bring that back here because I think it's important for the sport and whatever. I mean, introducing my buddy's kids to that atmosphere and just keep that vibe going throughout, life.
And it's just fun.
It
It's
is.
just a good time to get good people around, for one reason, and that's just being outside in the outdoors, and I think it's fun.
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of that excitement came back for, um, it's always you get the rush when you kill a buck like that, and um, just on top of that, knowing you got buddies that are in the stand at the same time you are in the same group chat, checking in with each other, and you all know at the end of the hunt you're gonna go back to the same place and hang out and just be in awe of each other's deer and celebrate that moment and relive it again. It's a whole new excitement for it. So I think that's really cool.
And when you're the guy, when you're the shooter that evening or that morning, whatever it is, it's like you just get a high of adrenaline, and then you go back to deer camp, and you just get to keep that alive for as long as you possibly can.
Absolutely. Yeah. Next thing that we do need to talk about is hunting decoys, which is
Dude, they're
not
big.
something I thought would ever work.
It's
I mean,
ridiculous.
you only ever see it work on um, bone
Mhm.
collector TV shows, and it worked for Aaron. So give us a breakdown on your desire to hunt decoys.
Um, like I said earlier, that property I hunt is it's always been very buck heavy. So I know that decoys is kind of a contentious topic, but it's just it came to me because honestly because I knew that there were so many bucks there that there was going to be an issue with, I mean, there was going to be aggressive bucks. Like, it's got to happen because that's the only way that a dominant buck is going to maintain uh, a hot doe is through fighting. So if he if he sees a decoy, he's more likely to come to me and also be focused on something other than me. Um, but I've killed 2 bucks over decoys, both good deer. This season was a little bit different in that I chose to go with a doe decoy, which, if you listen to anybody on any podcast ever, don't do it, right? That's what they say. But like I said earlier, there were so few does there that if there was one in the field, like, something was going to come check it out because there just weren't any. Like, I mean, honestly, that night that I shot my buck, I saw only bucks, and I saw like 7 or 8 of them, And so, uh, putting that doe decoy in the field, that buck that I shot, which I'll get into later, but I mean, all of them were interested in the decoy. They all came to it. I mean, every single buck in the field came to check that decoy. And I think that a lot of people falter on the setup of a decoy.
Time and the place too, right?
Right, absolutely, yeah,
Perfect time, perfect place,
right.
right? You're explaining the setting with the does, the lack of does. You put one in the field, and the time of the year, like, is perfect.
Was
Indiana rut.
Yeah, it was good. I hadn't hunted one until that day that I killed my buck. But I threw it in the truck that day because I was gonna hunt a pretty open area, and the area that I was in, I have a lot of deer bedded there. Like, if I do an all day sit, that's where I go because it's something that, even if I don't see deer in the morning, there's something that's going to filter in there in the afternoon. But if I was going in the afternoon, I needed something to get them to me if they weren't already there, right? So um, that's what the reason that I went with the decoy, because I knew that I was going to be hunting an open field, and there wasn't a lot of reason to come over to me if it were not for a decoy. So um, I think, but as I was saying, I think the placement of a decoy is something that people mess up, and maybe they kind of snooker themselves on, is knowing which way to face a decoy with the wind and how a buck is going to react. And I was listening. I don't remember who it was, but I was listening to somebody talk about a decoy a little while back, and they were talking about how use that first buck, the first deer in general that comes to a decoy, use that as kind of a model to how almost all the deer thereafter will react. And say you sit down and you got a little 6 point that walks in, and he goes in an area that is not going to be great for you to get a shot at. Maybe it's just outside of your shooting lane or whatever. I can't remember who it was, but they were talking about that and how it was, if you have that situation when that buck moves on, because they inevitably will discover that it's not a real deer, so they have a tendency to just not want to be there anymore. But once that deer leaves the area, it's important to get down and make those adjustments, because if you don't, and then your target buck is next, he's going to do the same thing, and he's likely not going to give you a shot. So that was a great piece of advice. I wish I could give credit to who said it, but
Even though you think you would never want to get down and go do that, and like I said, time and the place,
yeah.
you're in the right time to be making crazy moves like that, anyways, because it's the rut.
Yeah, that is, it's very counterintuitive, but also you're going out there and moving what they think is a deer. So for them to see that movement is not necessarily like crazy, and I don't think that's going to bust deer. But of course, that's
Yeah, I mean,
topic of debate as well.
don't get down on the tree stand and go move the deer if the shooter is in the field. It's just,
Yeah, but I mean, if a deer sees that decoy and you get down and move it, and that same deer sees that decoy 15 minutes later and it's moved, it's probably gonna think, "Oh, that deer just moved." So, all right.
Good thought there.
Well, yeah, I think shooting a buck with a 13-inch G2 is gonna sway my opinion on decoys a little bit. So maybe try it out next season. All right. Well, now let's get to the buck. You've said you've had some history with them. I don't know if you've had them on camera a lot this year, a lot last year, anything like that. You've been able to see them grow. I don't know. So give us a little backstory with this buck in particular, because he's definitely one you wouldn't get mixed up.
Yeah, he's pretty unique. As far as his G3s go, they both got some funky stuff going on. I wasn't honestly sure if I had him on camera previously, but I did have a buck last year that was pretty decent deer that had some funky stuff going on with his G3s, had some kickers elsewhere. But I I didn't have a ton of history with this guy this year. He just kind of showed up one day, and it was at night, obviously, and he was nocturnal. And I did see him once this season before I shot him, but it was a ways away, just glassing with binos. But as far as history goes, I do have some last year, not a bunch, and it was at the tail end of the season, honestly. But he was known, I guess, to me. I wasn't super shocked when I saw him, I guess, but a little bit of history, not much to speak of.
What did you think when you saw him? If you weren't super shocked.
I was happy to see him back. He had put on a lot of mass comparatively.
No, I'm talking about when you shot him.
When I shot him.
First thing you thought when you saw him.
Oh, that day? Oh man. What else do you see other than the dagger out back, right? But I knew it was that deer. I knew it was him before I glassed him. I didn't have to wonder. He was the only buck in the woods with set of G2s like that. So pretty noticeable. But I was really hoping he did exactly what he did. Is what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's awesome. A buck that size that you can just tell from, I don't know, 100 yards away when you first saw him, 200 yards away, and you see two daggers kicking out the back, and you're just like, "Yep, that's him." So that's pretty cool. Yeah, leading into that, paint us a picture on what you're seeing, how your decoy was, kind of what the weather was like that day. We've had a lot of weather changes here in northern Indiana, so what he looked like when he came in, and then ultimately when the arrow left the bow.
Wind was out of the southwest that day, which is what I set that stand up for, actually. And so I had my decoy out in the shooting lane. It was at 18 yards, and he was facing down into the wind. I had him set up on the left side of my shooting lane so that the buck, when if he came in, he would circle around behind the decoy, try to get a wind of it. But and I would have an opportunity at him if he did that. But that day, I was just sitting there. I was actually texting my buddy from Michigan was down here hunting with me, and he had texted me, and he said, "Guess what?" And I thought that he had shot a deer, so I was just amped. And I was texting him back, and then he played his little joke on me, which wasn't funny, Andrew. And then he I looked up, and this deer was out in that field, and he came out. I watched him come out to the field. I was sitting in a big open cornfield that's absolutely surrounded by woods. So he came out of a corner where I do not have a camera for some reason, and as soon as he came out, he just looked over the whole field, uh, went from the back all the way to the front, and then he did something I wasn't expecting him to do, which was
Before he stepped out in the field, or when he was in the field, did he survey it?
it was right before he got out into the open. So
It was like in the brush right
Yeah.
before.
yeah, there's
I was
a
telling
pretty
you, that's what they do, man.
pretty thick little edge, which they like the edge habitat, but there was pretty thick stuff right there, a little bit of autumn olive, a bunch of thickets. So he was standing right in an opening that I'd cut to go cut wood, and he stood there in the woods, I expect, and he was looking out around, and then he came out and started eating, which I thought was odd. And he didn't seem interested in necessarily anything at that time. There were two smaller bucks, 6-pointer, and some other little dink. They were up front, and he had looked at them a couple times, and he was interested in them, but he didn't really care to investigate. And then he started doing the thing I didn't want a deer to do in that woods, or in that field, I'm sorry, which was go north, because I've had them do that before from that stand, and it's really hard to get them to come back to me when they go north. And uh, I didn't have my extinguisher that day, so I emitted, as soon as he started doing
Careful.
that, I emitted the most beautiful
Oh no.
doe estrus bleat that I could have ever thought.
We gotta hear it.
possible.
We gotta hear it.
I can't do it.
We gotta hear it.
I've been, my voice is hoarse.
I can't even try one.
It was an in the moment thing.
Yeah.
The Hollywood.
Pure adrenaline, not to be replicated. But
Hollywood doe bleat.
yeah, so I did that, and he turned his head the very second that I did that, and he looked right at the decoy, and he turned on a dime and just straight across the field, trucking right to me, not running. Good walk, not interested in eating anymore.
Did the doe bleat start with an M?
Probably did, yeah. I don't know. I don't remember that part. I blocked that out of my memory. But
Right, continue. Sorry.
yeah. So he came on just a line right to me, and he was coming right to a shooting lane, and the decoy was right below me. So it was tough because he was looking at the decoy. I was in a 22-foot stand, and so right above the decoy's back was me. And so it was, I was trying to wrap my brain about how I was going to go about getting the draw, right? I already grabbed my bow as soon as he turned, and I was trying to figure out where my opportunity was to get drawn, and I just wasn't going to have one because he was coming right to the doe, and he was never going to leave that shooting lane. So he kept walking, and I had ranged a couple things in the field. There were some rocks, some dirt, some other stuff, because I knew that I wasn't going to have a chance to range, being that he was walking right at me. So I did a couple things ahead of time, and then he hung up a little bit at like 60 yards, I think it was right there, and that was going to be my opportunity when he stopped, because he was kind of looking around, not really. He was pretty focused on that doe. So I kind of took that as my opportunity, and I got about halfway through my draw cycle, and he absolutely just stared right at me, just into my soul. And I was like, oh God, I got to keep going. So I just got the full draw because there was no letting off of it with grace. So I got full draw, and then I had to get my anchors. So another challenge in and of itself, and a deer like that is staring at you. And so I got that, and then he hung up again at about 45 yards, continued walking.
How long did he stare into your soul for?
He wasn't, it wasn't long. He
He didn't pin you or nothing.
No, he was really interested in was really interested in what was happening with that decoy. So
A buck that lives in Indiana in the rut. That's
yeah,
what he was doing.
yeah, he looked at me and looked at me draw, and he was looking at me for a second. It felt like 10 hours, but
And have you said how far the decoy was?
it was 18 yards.
Okay.
So he hung up again about 45 yards, and then I think that's when he started to realize that he had been fooled, because he was acting a little different. He was a little, you could just tell he was on edge, knew something wasn't right. Had good wind. He never got anything as far as my wind goes, but I just think that he spotted something that he just didn't love about the setup. So he took a couple more steps in, and then he turned broadside, totally broadside to me, and he was at 39 yards when I shot him, and then he ran right to me.
39 yards shot with a
Rage hypodermic, and yeah, I hit him. I heard it hit him. Saw the shot. He ran right to me and gave me like a 6 yard just view of him running with what I could see as the damage had done to him. Um, to me, it was a good shot. He was bleeding a lot, but it was a little further back than I would absolutely love it to be. It was still, I still felt like it was a great hit. I wasn't too very concerned about it, but he ran around the field edge and then cut out and ran right back to where he was, but he was a little bit right of where he had entered the field. And there was an autumn olive bush there, and it was probably 12 foot tall. And I watched that deer jump over that bush and never touch anything and land on the backside of it. It was the most incredible thing I've ever seen. But that was kind of the whole story of the deer.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like I was there.
I can see him running as hard as he can and then leaping that
Autumn olive.
and that rack just flying way
Yeah,
up in the air.
that's exactly what I was thinking about when he was picturing it. That's awesome. Give us, getting a little more into archery here. Give us your thought process, your mantra, if you will, of everyone gets the shakes, everyone sees that buck come in and just freak out. So, what do you use that can maybe help someone out that you get it full draw and you get your pin set on that deer's vitals? What kind of calms you down, or what goes through your head to kind of lock you in and finish that moment?
It's so easy to rush it and mess it up,
It is.
especially on one like this. So, how do you not?
Um, I've told a couple people what I do. I don't know. Somebody told me this a long time ago when I was a kid, but when he gave me a long damn time to get nervous. Right, he came in from across the field. I was watching him from 200 yards all the way up to where I shot him at 39. So there was plenty of time in there to get nervous and get shaky and think, "Holy cow, this is the deer that I want to kill." And when I was a kid, somebody told me, and I know that this isn't really, it may be true. I don't know. I have no science to prove it, but they told me that when I start getting shaky in the stand, to flex all of my leg muscles as hard as I can, right? Just stand there and just, yes, every muscle that I can. And I don't know if there's science behind it, if there's something about that that gets you out of that kind of shaky, or if it's just breaking your concentration on what's happening in front of you and focusing on something else for that split second. But it truly has been like a game changer for me as far as keeping myself sane and collected during that time. But I mean, I was obviously shaking like a leaf here. As I'll give you shaking like a dog shitting razor blades, I believe is what Andrew Pesca said. So,
Oh my gosh, that's not surprising at all.
so yeah, I was shaking pretty good, but when he was when he was broadside at 39, I was rock solid. So
Let's talk about Andrew Pesca. That's got to mean something pretty cool for the time that it happened, having him down here. I mean, it's not something that he just comes down every couple weeks and goes hunting.
yeah, I had texted him when I saw him and he was headed my direction. I said he was 150 out, and Andrew was sitting in a stand about a quarter mile away from me, and he was down in the bottom of a valley, and so he had, and of course I went radio silence after that because I was focused on what I was doing. But he had no way of knowing what was going on in the field, and so I shot this deer. And when I hit him, he ran that quarter mile, and he ran it straight to my buddy. So my buddy was texting me. Andrew was texting me, and he's like, "This deer's right in front of me," because he knew that I had a pretty good shooter in front of me. And so he texted me and said, "This guy's right in front of me." And I said, "Well, is he dead? Because I cannot imagine how he could still be living with the amount of blood he was losing passing me." So he's confused. He saw a rack coming through. I wish you could get it in his words. I can't do his accent very well, but if you can imagine Canuck saying this, that's what it is. So he was going through it with me, but he saw this deer running through the woods full tilt across the ridge line, and there's a little bit of a saddle where he's at, and this deer ran straight down that, and it ran 30 yards in front of him and stood there. So right after I hit him, I mean seconds after I hit him. So he watched this deer come down that hill and then lay down in front of him. He had no idea that I had hit him because he came in on the opposite side. So he texts me. He's, in his mind, he's ready to shoot this deer. He has his bow in his hand, release on, like locked in, ready to go. And this deer just lays down and dies right in front of him. So he was as jacked up as I was, because at that time he had texted me and said, "Did you shoot this guy?" And I was like, "I did." And so, but he's like living, man. He's watching this deer just expire right in front of him, and he said he just laid down and put his head down, and that was it. But of course, my imagination's running wild when one like this runs out of sight. It's like kicking the pants. But yeah, so that was pretty cool. I was really happy to share that with Andy. He and I had talked about that night, and if that was his experience when he was here, then he was going to be happy about it. So just to have that, and that's nothing like that's ever happened to me before, but just to have all that, and that memory is going to be burned in both of our minds for all of eternity. So it was pretty neat.
It's so hard to kill a good one, and then to have a guy like that there with you, and everything happens to fall together at the right time. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, not only to mention the 2025 deer camp weekend and the amount of mature deer that were harvested that weekend just by the grace of God. Like, you can't ask for a better setup for Andy to be down from the UP. You don't get many opportunities to have, your out-of-state buddies come hunt with you. Melvin will get to experience that next year.
We won't see a deer if Melvin's
Yeah, we won't. Yeah, if Melvin's in the stand, probably scare all the deer away. But
he's got to earn it now, anyways. He's got to earn it.
Yeah,
can't just
after a year like this year, Boone started us off way early in the year, just second sit of the year, just kind of took care of it. I don't know how he did that, but and then Aaron came out with this deer camp idea. Hey guys, this weekend on this date, like, it's deer camp, and then we just all decided to tag out that weekend. Like, it was awesome.
24 hours.
Within 24 hours, it was yours Friday evening, mine Saturday morning, Pesca's Saturday evening, and it was like, it couldn't have worked out any better. And for a group of guys to get around and all enjoy that together, it's putting a lot of heat on next year. I don't know if we'll ever capitalize like we did this year, but I mean, we can only hope. So
Set the bar pretty high.
Thank you guys. We're going to roll into some clips that we got of the recovery. Aaron's got some pretty cool clips of him literally telling that deer to come over here so I could shoot you in his hey dudes nonetheless. So we'll roll some clips of the moment, let you guys kind of be there with us, and be ready for the next one. Thank you guys. County Line Bow Hunting, we out.
That's him. Looks like a rack buck.
Is his head up?
Nah. His head's down.
Looks like a real nice rack buck.
Let's go get that.
God, he's right there. Oh, wow.
Nice
He turned the
buck.
corner and he's on it. Holy kicker.
Yeah.
That's wicked.
Wow.
He's just like the one you got hanging in the corner.
Yeah, he is. Truly.
That's a stud.
That is a stud.
Wow. That thing is a freaking dandy.
He is.